Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for Share in the Chair at the Sunshine Cathedral. We apologize for coming on a little late. Several difficulty with some technology here, but now we're here and we are glad that you are here with us. Because we're running a little bit behind time, I'm not going to take the time to introduce our guest this evening, but I am going to introduce the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral that we all know is the Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, and he is going to introduce our guest for this evening because no one knows her better than our own senior minister, Dr. Darrell Watkins. So, Darrell, I'm going to let you take it and just go from there.
All right, thank you. That, of course, was Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, our executive minister at the Sunshine Cathedral, and the executive minister of my life. He is my husband, of course. And so here we are, starting punctually at 10 minutes after 6, as advertised. That's unavoidable, though. I've never, and we've had some issues with technology over the years, but never so many, test of my medication, let's just say that. But here I am, and relatively calm and in good humor. So we're gonna get going. Thanks for waiting. Hopefully you waited. If so, and if people gave up, you can catch us later. It's out there forever. So anyway, this is Share in the Chair. This is something we used to do as part of worship services in the room. Now we're taking it online. It's making its own program, Share in the Chair, where someone hopefully seated, or else the name of the show is ridiculous. So hopefully someone seated will share their story with us and tell us about themselves, and maybe we learn something about ourselves in the process. Our first guest, it's kind of funny to call her our first guest because she's done Share in the Chair in the room before, but our first guest for Share in the Chair online is the Reverend Cindy Lippert. Cindy has this long, beautiful bio written up, but we actually all changed rooms and chairs and computers, so I have no idea where it is. But I can tell you stuff about her. I know about her. She was a businesswoman and a mother and a wife, and she's still all of those things, but now she's also a grandma. When she was a young woman and the mother of a young child, she had an existential crisis, and that led her on a search that led her into ministry. She left the business world. She worked for Honeywell. She left the business world, studied for ministry, became a minister, founded a church, pioneered a church in the Midwest, then took a larger, more historic, established church, a Unity church, also in the Midwest, became faculty for a ministry program in Texas, and then towards the end of her ministry career, also was the president of the International New Thought Alliance, a very historic organization going back to the 19th century. And so then she retired, spent 3 or 4 years pretending to be done with everything. And then she went to acting school, like you do, and became an actor and a model. She recently got her union card, her Screen Actors Guild union card. So she's a model. She's done television commercials. She's done independent films. She's done improv. She's done internet stuff. She's also a motivational speaker and a life coach and career coach now, on top of everything else. And so luckily, with all of that, she found 20 minutes to sit in a chair and talk to us. And so please welcome a wonderful minister and speaker and friend and all those other great things, the Reverend Cindy Lippert. Okay, Cindy, say hi to folks. People have been waiting for you at the everybody. Sunshine Cathedral. They're so excited. They're just, some people, I think, piddled when they were like, oh, Cindy, yay. And so here you are.
Oh, you made my day.
Good. Well, so I have some questions for you. Hopefully they have something to do with all those things I said about you. Okay. Otherwise, who cared about any of those things? So I'm going to ask you questions and you can speak from all that expertise. Okay. So business, family, ministry, retirement, acting, coaching. Can you say something to us about living, learning, and growing at every age?
My mother always said when I was a kid, the only thing certain is change. And that becomes true the older you get. You have an idea of what you think you want to be when you grow up. When I was 14, I thought I'd be a beautician. And thank God to all the stylists that I never went that route. So anyway, what did I know? But I've been through a lot of incarnations. It's true. At 65, I decided to study acting. So you never know. Reinvention is important because the only thing certain is change. You are not the same that you were last year, 10 years, 5 years ago. Doesn't matter. We're always changing. And the reason that it's important is because it is the zest of life. It keeps life exciting, to have an imagination, to be curious about everybody. It helps us be better humans, to want to know about each other and to hear each other's stories. So that's kind of the thing about that. I don't know how many careers I've had by now. I really don't. I've lost count.
So, well, you know, the mom and grandma thing, that takes a lot of time and energy.
Well, it should. I'm not a very good mom or grandma, so those two I'm not very good at.
Oh, whoops.
So,
and you've been married a long time, and in fact, you've been sort of on the edge of the film industry for decades, right?
right. Actually, a very close friend of ours won the Oscar for producing Ordinary People, and you know, and my husband was a stunt car driver in California, and got involved with people there. So he came home one day and said, would you like to take an acting class with me? And I thought, sure. I thought it sounded like underwater basket weaving or, you know, some kind of fun thing. I had no idea how hard it was. Yeah. You know, I had no idea. I've always had great reverence for actors, but let me ask you this question. What do you think this quarantine would be like if there were no Netflix? If there weren't movies? It is one of the most unsung therapeutic, non-medical helpers through this time, I think. Wow. And so actors then become ministers and crew and movie producers and all of it. We elevate them into a whole different realm.
Yeah. Actors are sort of the shamans of our tribe, you know, right now, helping us, and even celebrities of all arts. They're doing these concerts. They're doing these benefits. They're coming into our homes, giving us encouragement and whatnot. So yeah, noble profession for sure. And you, just for the acting geeks out in the world, the technique you studied was Meisner. Is that right?
Yes, that's one of them for sure. And I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, in New Thought, for example, we talk about the truth. And little did I know that I would become a far better metaphysician by studying acting. And the pursuit of truth for an actor is relentless. An actor has to find truth in that performance in order to move the person in the audience. The audience wants to feel something. Happy, glad, sad, mad, something. And the only way that they can feel that is if the actor is giving a truthful performance. Now, to get to truth is a real study of going very deep with oneself.
Yeah.
Shocking.
You're being sort of on the edge of the film industry for years because of your husband being a stunt car driver and a teacher of stunt car driving at stunt schools in California. So then you were a New Thought minister, Divine Science, and on faculty of a Divine Science school, and then Unity. Now you're again on faculty at a Divine Science school, the Samaritan Institute. But I think the first talk I ever heard you give, it was at an INTA Congress, and believe you were the outgoing president. I mean, it was that long ago. You were either incoming or outgoing. It was.
Yeah, I think it was outgoing. Yeah.
It was on a bookend of your presidency. Yeah. And you gave a talk, and in your talk, you used your husband as an example in race car drivers, and about how to make the car go where you want it to go, you have to keep your eye on where you want to be. And so if you divert your attention, the car will go in the wrong way or whatever. You could bump into a wall, you bump into another car. You got to keep your eyes where you want to be. And that was your example about life, about the way the mind works. But you have to keep your eyes forward on where you want to go. because otherwise you're going to drift and not get there. I've used that example 1,000 times. I think I gave you credit the first 2 times. After that, it was my bit of brilliance, and people thought I was so smart.
Now it's yours. Yeah.
Right. But because of your proximity to the film industry, and using that example in a talk at a ministry conference that I just happened to be in the room for, it's my first or second one of INTA ever. And because I so connected with that and felt so encouraged and empowered by that talk, a year or 2 later, when I was going through a crisis, a debilitating depression, one of the 2 worst of my life, and you didn't know me from Adam. I mean, you probably knew who I was. We talked a minute or 2 here and there in a hallway or whatever. But I called you, and you took my call. And I said, for some reason, you're the person I want to tell this to. I'm devastated, and I'm stuck, and life is terrible. And so now what? And you sort of agreed to be my practitioner, which is a sort of a prayer partner, and a peer listener, and an advisor, and all that. And you sort of shepherded me through a really difficult year. And I didn't know that you were going through your own stuff at the time, and getting out of yourself to help me also helped you. But all that healing happened because you were married to a stunt car driver, and you were a minister, and I was at the ministry conference. Like, it's almost like the butterfly flaps its wings and a tornado happens in Japan kind of thing. And so because of that talk that you gave from your life experience, when I was in need, I called a person, and that wound up being a year of healing for me. And, a decade later, you're on this show telling us your story. So I just want to let people know that we became close because I reached out to you for help during a personal crisis. And now you are coaching and counseling people all over. You've actually, in addition to all these other things, you and your husband and a therapist have all started something called Sage, a coaching and counseling business. So since you really helped me get back on track, and now you're offering that to people all over, I was hoping you'd tell the world about Sage and what you're doing and what you can do for them.
The fact that you reached out, Darrell, told me everything about you. Because we have to get to a point where we say, I'm out of ideas. And it wasn't that you were less than. In fact, it elevated you tremendously. We know as ministers about the wounded healer and how powerful that is as you relate to your congregants, because you're human too. Your message at Sunshine Cathedral was also very healing for me because it's a universal message. The thing about Sage is, and it's timely, again, I started feeling this past year that I love acting, of course, but in between being on set, and being on set is magic because you're making magic happen, like producing your wonderful services on Sunday, the excitement about getting that together. And but the thing for me in this past year is, in between times, I was feeling like I needed to reach out somehow or be available. And I kept feeling that I knew for me to take on another church at this time in my life is not realistic, but to be able to be available. And then boom, the pandemic happens. Well, we had just gotten the website put together for Sage. It's sagecoachingandcounseling.com. And what had happened with that?
Is that A-N-D and?
A-N-D, right.
Sage
right.
Coaching and Counseling.
Coachingandcounseling.com, right. Thank you for that. The thing is that we have a lot of contractors. You mentioned a psychologist. We also have a drug and alcohol specialist who's a licensed social worker that is also with us. And there are others that are in various areas of expertise in business. But what I wanted to say today is that, again, if anybody would reach out to me, that needs somebody to talk to, please do. Because during this period of time, my husband and I wanted to make ourselves available. Forget about if you can afford it. If you want to give us a love offering, that honors the relationship, but don't worry about the cost. It's important right now for the mental health of the individuals to be able to keep going. These are unusual times.
Yeah.
And but that's what SAGE is about. We want to be able to help the whole person, not just the person at work, but the person that they are when they get home too.
So you have professionals, including you, offering spiritual counseling, therapeutic counseling, and career counseling.
Correct.
And during this bizarre time, you're even waiving fees when necessary so that nobody isn't offered help that they need.
Correct.
That is amazing. That's so generous. So I hope people are hearing that there is this amazing level of expertise that's not even cost prohibitive right now, no matter where
Right.
you are. And so, I mean, please do what you can. They're giving you great service and they deserve what you can give them, but they're also being very flexible and generous with you so that whatever you can give is enough. So that's amazing, and tells you what you need to know about the Reverend Cindy Lippert and her husband and their colleagues. So thank you for that. There's another question just for you, because you've mentioned Sunshine Cathedral already about our services and our message. You were one of our biggest cheerleaders. I mentioned you in a sermon recently about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and just your name got applause. People know that you love Sunshine Cathedral, and
I do.
you refer people to us all over the world. You have preached 4 or 5 times. You participated in our wedding, mine and Robert's wedding. You preached
Yes.
multiple times. You have never let us pay you, not a dime. You teach courses for our school, and you first one to come onto this program. You've done other programs that we've done on YouTube in the past. You've just supported us. You write for Spirit and Truth. I mean, you just do so much. You've given contributions. Why? I mean, who the hell are we? Why are you so kind and generous and supportive of the Sunshine Cathedral?
When I met you, Darrell, God spoke to me that you were what the world was waiting for. When I came to your service the first time, I was moved beyond words. I'd never been in a church service in 1 hour that touched all the 5 senses, from the heart to the soul and from the palate to the head. It was all there in 1 hour for a group of people who have been told their entire lives that they are not worthy. For you to be able to remind them that God loves them no matter what was so powerful. I have yet to invite anybody that was not moved beyond words. It's a congregation that is unusual, not just because it's the queer community. It's beyond that. It is a universal message. Anybody that says to me that they identify as a gay ally, straight ally, whatever the right word is, that they want to be an ally to the community. My answer is, do you have any gay friends? Start there and learn the language, learn how to love them better. When I come, you all treat me like Cher. I've never been any place that what's not to love, but you're doing so many things right. And I also tell churches who are struggling, they need to study everything that you're doing. They do. It's not that you're perfect. It's not that you do everything right, although, you're still my favorite child. But beyond that, seriously speaking, you're doing a lot of things right in a time in life when churches are failing, they're out of ideas, they're stuck in old ways, and they're not using their imagination and their curiosity to bring it forward. And if Jesus Christ were alive today, he would be amazed at how this simple technology could touch the lives from around the world in every time zone, including tomorrow.
Yes, there's someone I'm inviting in the summer to speak actually lives in tomorrow. She's 17 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. It's a
Yeah.
time of miracles for sure.
I know.
Well, thank you for coming on this evening. We're even though we had some technical difficulties, got started a little bit late. We've otherwise kept it to the time limit, and I just, you have such a loving heart and such positive energy. I didn't even really exactly know what we were going to talk about because it didn't matter. I just knew we were going to be talking, and people were going to hear you, and somebody's going to be healed or encouraged or uplifted or have a catharsis or something, just because that's what happens. It's like the apostles, that people, their shadow would fall on people and they would have wonderful things happen. You're that person. You walk, your shadow falls on people and wonderful things happen. So thanks for doing that. I want to ask you one more question. All the other questions were just for you. This is the question I'm going to ask everybody. This is the final question for everybody. But you're the first one to answer it.
Oh, good.
All right. What happens when we die?
Well, if God is an anthropomorphic deity in a male body, I would expect him to meet me at the pearly gates and say, sorry about that. but I don't believe that.
No.
Okay. I believe that, and I think Einstein said it. I think we're energy can't be destroyed. What that looks like after life, we don't know. There aren't any ministers that can say. There are ministers who claim whatever they claim, but the truth is we don't know until we're there. Yeah. But I believe the energy is as palatable and palpable as it is right now. It'll be interesting. I think, well, this is a deep subject, isn't it? Yeah. This is a deep subject, but I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I think that is the wisest, most honest, most beautiful answer any theologian can ever give, ever. I don't know.
Thank you.
I love that answer. That is the best, the truest answer. I love that answer.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Okay. When I got into ministry, when I started studying, my childhood friend passed, which you knew. I was devastated. I didn't know where she went. And so I began to study in hot pursuit of finding out, where did she go? All these years later, I don't know, and I'm okay about it.
And it's okay. Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. The Apostle Paul said, we live by faith, not by sight. Some things we just don't get to know. Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay. And we trust that whatever the answer is okay, even if we don't know it. It's That's okay. Right. Yeah. So wonderful. I do want to ask our viewers to find It's Happening Out. Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock is when their show is on. It's a weekly talk show, the most watched, largest audience for a live gay and lesbian talk show in the world. And you can see it, it's happeningout.com. You can see it on their Facebook page or on YouTube. And the reason that I'm promoting them is because they promote us. They are actually the producers of our Sunday morning broadcast. So we do the rest ourselves, which is why on the odd occasion using Zoom and whatnot, we might have a 10-minute hiccup because we, all of these things. On Sunday, it looks amazing, seamless, beautiful. That's because the pros are doing it on Sunday. Well, they've got their own midweek show. They also have Q News Tonight every night, queer-focused news. And then they produce our Sunday worship on Sunday live streaming. So It's Happening Out. Catch them tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. It's just another great thing offered in, for, and by the LGBTQ plus community. Robert, what are your final words today? Robert, our technician and director tonight, thank you so much for finally, because really, you and Lexapro are why I was able to go on tonight at 10 minutes after 6, because, so.
I think as one of the producers for the Sunday morning guy, Darren says us, this is about live feed. Live feed is it. We just have to be in the moment with that live feed. So thank you, Darren, for that tidbit. But I want to thank you both for being with us tonight for our inaugural Sunshine Cathedral Share in the Chair. And I want to invite you to join us, especially our viewers, to be with us next Wednesday, April the 29th at 6 p.m. We will do our darnness to start on time next Wednesday. Yes, please forgive us for tonight. But we will have the Reverend Terry Steve Pierce who is the senior pastor of Joy MCC in Orlando, Florida, with us, and she will be our Share in the Chair guest. And of course, we also invite you to join us for our Monday through Friday midday prayer at noon. And also a reminder that on Mondays at 6 p.m., there is Christian and Cocktail Conversation. That has become a very popular programming that we're doing. And of course, as always, Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We invite you to join all that. All of these things are listed on our website. Again, you can visit at sunshinecathedral.org and find out a lot more that's going on at the Sunshine Cathedral virtually. But until then, we say good night from Sunshine Cathedral, America's queer church for all. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Darrell.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thanks.